What's up, y'all? Today, I got about 5 or 6 topics I want to talk about, but I'm not going to talk about them all today. I'm just going to talk about one. Shout out to Mo Betta. It was his birthday from San Francisco. Um, I went to his little event, super dope. A lot of guys came out. It was a lot of boss men up in there. Oh my God, I was nervous. But there was a lot of men's in there, a lot of beautiful ladies. It was so fun though, because when I went, a lot of people knew my podcast and they recognized me. So that was pretty dope. Okay. It's a star in the making. I'm just saying. But I was talking to a gentleman, shout out to him. I can't remember his name, but he trying to start a podcast. And we were just talking about a lot when it came to women, kids, and their fathers. Now, I told him too I was going to talk about this because it was extremely deep. And I think my topic is when kids become the pawn, who really gets hurt when the fathers are kept away. A lot of women struggle with the lack of emotional intelligence and keep the kids away from their father. Now, let me be very, very clear. This is not a woman bashing episode, and this dang show ain't no defense of a deadbeat daddy. Okay? It's simply me just to talk about it's simply it's simply for me to just kind of have a real discussion um, on how unresolved pain, control, and conflict um, can turn into the kids' collateral damage. And so, who ultimately pays the price? Dang sure ain't the daddy. Shit, he ain't got to watch him. Shoot, no cursing. Sorry. He don't have to watch him. Mama, you stuck watching him. That's just one. And most importantly, they don't have a father. Like, I'm beyond grateful. Let me just say this. My baby's father did 10 years. And I think he went to jail when my daughter was 6 years old. I left him when she was 2. And he was definitely in the streets heavily. Shout out to BD. We cooler than a fan now. I have no problems when he got a new chick, super duper cute girl. And we cool. We get along. Okay. We definitely co-parent. But I honestly think a lot of it has to do with me being mature. And I never ever was the type to be bitter. Ever. My thing was I decided to have a baby with somebody that wasn't ready. So I can't force him to be a father when he was never ready in the first place. Let's talk about that. Women need to understand if you lay down knowing this nigga's a deadbeat, who's wrong, him or you? See, a lot of women try to have these babies thinking one is going to keep them, two is going to prevent him from having another woman, or they have a child thinking that he's not going to get into another relationship and possibly have your child around another woman. Stop. You'll make yourself crazy. You got to stop now because the only person that's hurting is the child. Now, let me be extremely clear because this can go both ways. This can go where the daddy has the child as well and keeping it from the mother. But I'm going to say statistically, I am speaking 96% of women that struggle with this situation with keeping their kids away, it's mostly women. It's not really men, it's women. And it saddens me because I grew up without a father. And I think a lot of women these days grew up without a father. So to continue that cycle, it does nothing but create chaos in society because we got a lot of fatherless young girls that are lost and have no direction of a man. And not only just a man, but their father. So it's just destruction all over. And this is for any race. It's not just blacks, it's not just whites, Mexicans, Chinese. It's every race, all women, some women of all race or ethnicities are doing that. And I think that we need to know why some women are keeping their children away from fathers, the emotional and psychological impact on the children, um, how fathers are affected. You know what I mean? When they're erased from their kids' life. That's a really big one, especially a good father. Just was talking to a good friend of mine and it was opposite. Um, the baby mother was upset that he was with someone else and didn't want to be with her and decided to keep the baby away. Or was like, take the baby. I'm not going to be in you guys' life. And I'm like, whoa, that's huge. That kind of, solidifies that there never was a direct connect with her and the child in the beginning. Because there's no way I could have gave up my child. It's just no way. It's no way. Um, Speaking of, I need to call my daughter. I ain't talked to her in about 2 days. Um, you're gonna kill me. How long is your break? And I can't even pause this. I'm totally on live right now. Oh my God. Wait, let me this is serious. Something's happening and there's no let me see if I can pause this. Can I pause y'all live real quick? Maybe mute it. Hold on, guys. 5 minutes. I'm gonna totally have to cut that off. I'm so sorry, world. I was on a very important phone call. But whoo, if you're just joining and just looking, I basically was talking about um how basically kids do not benefit from an adult war with their parents. Women are keeping their kids away from their fathers. And I just am totally in disgust with it, and I disagree with it. Now, this is not all women. Like I said, I'm not here to bash women. I'm not here to talk about deadbeat daddies. I'm just here to talk about or try to get an understanding on why women keep the kids away from the fathers is mainly three reasons why. One, he got another woman. That's like the number one. Two, he don't want to be with you. Okay. And three, just because. But the first two is really what it be. He don't wanna be with you or he got a whole whole 'nother woman. And then, it just gets real weird. I am beyond blessed and grateful that I was not one of those women to keep my kid from my baby's father. And trust me, he wasn't the best father, but overall in my brain, I knew that my child needed a father because I grew up as a fatherless child and I knew where it led me. And it led me over hypersexual in the streets and not doing the right thing. Having fatherly love is something that just a woman cannot give a young girl. Period. Just like with a woman, we can't give a man certain things that they need to grow up to be a man. So I think that women keeping their kids away from their father is just not benefiting the kids. You know what I mean? An adult war is horrible for the children. And I just always told myself I never wanted to be the type of woman to keep my child away from her father. Now, what I did do, maybe because he was in the streets or, I made him trust him, but I always set it up to where she go be with him and maybe his mother. Or, I did have to dictate. And it was only because he was irresponsible. But keeping her from him, never. That's just, I could never do it. Another one, child support. Now, respectfully, I respect it. You wanna put them on child support and have the government all in your business, and now it's all this extra more power to you. I just personally couldn't do it. You know why? Because all of my I wasn't even finna be having the government work and chase down no dude. Spend that time on cash and giving me a check. Imma go get my own check. I don't need one from him. I don't. I don't even want it. So, I mean, this is a very uncomfortable truth. I know sometimes a lot of women, they just don't like to hear it. But, I'm just here to talk about, what really happens when the kids are kept away from their fathers who want to be present. Now, I ain't talking about the deadbeats that don't want to be present. I'm talking about the ones that want to be present. That's a problem. You not hurt nobody, one, but yourself because you ain't got no babysitter. And two, well, first is the kids, okay? Um, it's horrible. But I think using your emotion as a weapon is very detrimental to a child's mental health, extremely. And the child becomes collaterally damaged off top. I went through the struggles with the back and forth with my mother and father, the child, the child support battle and CPS. And who wants to deal with that? It's horrible. So who really gets hurt, from the jump? And I will say some fathers may be abusive to the women. So some don't deserve access. Let's be clear on that. Okay. But this episode ain't about them. It's about the fathers that want to be a present father in their kid's life. Why are women doing that? We're talking about the fathers that show up. We're talking about the fathers who pay child support. Okay. We're talking about the women, or the fathers who fight through court. The fathers who still get blocked, ignored, and erased when they trying to be a father. We got that is just madness. Why does this happen? I think hurt relationships, control issues, unresolved trauma within, um, using kids as a leverage, which is sickening. And if I can't hurt you, then I'm going to hurt what you love. What? That's sick. That's mental health. That's mental health illness, if you ask me. And sometimes it's not even intentional, it's emotional survival. And I think that turned into emotional damage. You know what I mean? A lot of women are using their emotional survival skills that they lack, okay? And they turn that into being emotional damage, straight up. And it usually doesn't start extreme. It doesn't. It starts very minimal. I'm mad at him, or he don't deserve access because I'm doing all the work and I'm doing everything. He don't deserve to be around my kids. The kids don't want to go with him, or I'm protecting him. No, you're not. You're hurting them. Somebody got to tell y'all, okay? And you know what? It's crazy because protection can quietly turn into isolation. And that's where you're starting chaos. Calls stop getting answered, or visits become inconvenient. You want to make it inconvenient. And this can go both ways. For women dealing with the fathers, want to keep them away or not see their kids, okay? Or vice versa, the women keeping their kids away from the father. You know, it's really sad. But I will say this is another part, how it hurts the father. Literally, men already, especially black men, already struggle with everyday chaos. Soon as they walk out the house, they guarded. Literally. Whether it's a God-fearing man, well, they're gonna walk in faith. But I'm saying they still guarded, they still a protective mode. So I feel like we gotta talk about the part that don't nobody care about, how it hurts the man or the father that does not get to see his children. I think that, you know, it loses a daily connection. I think that, you know, it gets painted as they're absent, which is wrong. I think that they fight a system that's already stacked against them. So it's like here comes a woman that makes it worse. And that's why you men, you need to watch who you laying down with. Okay. Get to know a person before you lay down and decide to stick your winky dinky in them and have a baby. Cause you bet you didn't know she was crazy. She might got a nice little body. She might even listen, she could be educated, she can have a bag, nice body, all that. But you didn't know a lot of these women are actors and they're very good at it. They're very good at it. They're massive, literally massive manipulators. And I'm only speaking on this because I was once one, but I'm healed. Okay. I'll say I use my philosophy skills. Ting. But I know that a lot of women, what was it, turkey basing? Like, men, you guys gotta do better on who you're deciding to have the babies with. I think I did a reel on that the other day. Be mindful on who you decide to have a baby with, player. It's not all worth it sometimes. You're creating your own headache. Okay. First off, start by praying for the woman you want. First off, start off by knowing the type of woman you want. And Third off, make sure you're healed before you go seek a woman. Make sure you're ready to be a man to a woman. Make sure you're ready to be a father to a child if you're putting yourself in those situations to possibly have a child. I'm just saying. And I'm be honest, men, they dealing with depression, anxiety, rage, hopelessness, all the things we can say, and some even give up. They give up. And it's not because they don't care, it's because fighting cost them everything. And sometimes they don't have that fight in them because they already fighting every day the time they wake up. So here they go dealing with a woman that's trying to keep their kids away, making life harder. You know what I mean? So society be saying, man up, or if he wanted to, he would. No. Why we can't make it easier for our men to see their kids? Why we can't make their life a little bit easier, especially if they want to be in their kids' life? I think it's so awful that women are so bitter. You know what I mean? And they're controlling, but they're using the child as bait. That like, dude, that's just not cool. You know what I mean? And now let's talk about how it hurts the child. And this is where to me it gets serious because the man, he's an adult. Not to justify the behavior as though it's not, hurtful or even intentional, but kids internalize everything and they soak up everything like a sponge. So they see the fact, and then women bashing their baby daddies in front of them. Why are we doing that? That's one thing I've never spoke bad about my baby daddy. For what? I will say it's a difference between speaking bad and telling the truth though. You know what I mean? I never spoke bad about her, but the only reason why I would tell her the truth is for educational reasons, straight like that. You know what I mean? You may not want a man like your daddy. But he was in the streets, he might have got on heavy drugs and, decided to take a route in life that just wasn't beneficial for him or his children. So I had to be honest with him, but I never bashed him. And I couldn't bash him because one thing I will give my BD was he might have been in the streets and he might have been all crazy and on drugs and stuff, but he loved his children. I'll forever give him that. I will forever give them that. And he always protected them under any cost. Baby daddy was a little thug, but I'm telling you one thing, he wasn't no sucker. He was definitely about that life. And so was I back then. But anyway, animal. Y'all heard her. She trying to break into the closet. Stop it, animal. Um, but like I was saying, kids they internalize everything. And you know, they start thinking, why my father didn't fight harder? Why wasn't I enough? Why he didn't love me, but he might have loved the other girls' kids that he with, you know? Why did the love disappear? Why do men leave? Then that causes abandonment issues on the children. Boom. Now we got another fatherless kid growing up in the world that's screwed up, dealing with men that are, battering her. I mean, it's just a long list that starts happening when a woman keeps her child from the father. I mean, the list is just it's a bombshell, literally. But if you research and real life experience show that some kids got trust issues, I'm gonna speak for myself. Identity issues, number one, anger problems, authority issues, emotional confusion, relationship instability, lack emotional intelligence. Like the list can go on and on when a kid grows up without a father, So especially boys who grew up without a father. Oh my God. And especially girls who grew up without a father, wounds. You know what I mean? And the worst part, the child often blames the absent parent. And I'm a victim of that. I gotta be honest. A lot of times the kids don't know the full story. They just go by the parent wasn't there. So now this kid then create a narrative about a person that had no even option or choice to be able to see them due to the mother's lack of emotional control. Facts. And I think that that's just it's insane to me. I don't I don't understand it. It's extremely frustrating. And it's really disappointing that women do that, being bitter and keeping your kids away from the father. Then let's talk about the cycle it creates. Um, Hurt mothers raise hurt kids. Hurt people attract hurt people, right? And I think that hurt kids grow up into hurt adults. So then it's like hurt adults repeat the same patterns. Mm, mm, mm. That's a problem. That's a problem. Children raised in conflict, they don't learn peace. And I think they learn control, manipulation, and survival skills. And that's something hard. I will say I learned all of that. Definitely. Those are the three things that I've mastered as a young child without a father: control, survival, and manipulation. Mastered them. My survival skills being in the street, me manipulating men growing up, and me controlling all the situations and being in the streets of my surroundings and everything. Even now, I'll probably struggle with all three of them. See what a daddy would do? The lack of not having a father, Lord have mercy. Um, but I ain't gonna lie, that's how generational trauma moves. That's how it festers and it just starts spreading like a wildfire. You know what I mean? Because it just hurt people. And it saddens me. It really does. And like I said, accountability is for everyone. This is not just for women and it's not just for men. Literally, this is on the courts that don't listen. This is on society that minimizes fatherhood. This is on parents who don't heal but decide to have a child, and systems that move slow. Okay, because y'all know I deal with a gang of that. But co-parenting is just not about winning. It's about sacrificing. I just was talking to my homegirl about that. You know, sometimes it's a business relationship, especially when you don't get along. It's called politicking, literally. You got to politic with the other parent to co-parent. Take the emotions out of it. Take the emotions out of it because the one that loses is the kids. Facts, you know? And keeping him away is just not power. You know what I mean? It's not. It's actually damaging. So I think I'm gonna close this by saying your child is not a weapon. Um, your child is not your revenge, and your child is definitely not your therapist. So one day they're gonna ask, and the truth will come out. And the question will be, will you be proud to answer it? Will you be proud to answer why you kept your child away from their father? And I'm gonna leave y'all at that. Y'all have a good one. This was a very serious topic today. It just was on my heart to talk about it. So if you liked it, you know, if this episode kind of resonated with you, share it. Because I think a lot of women and men need to hear this. Men are beautiful creatures and we need them. I've never been the woman to be like, I don't need no man. Yes, I do. I'm going to be the first one to say, I need a man, honey. And I'm not even just saying sexual because I can go without that. I'm saying all the other ones, all the other characteristics I need. Sexual dang near the last one. Hopefully it's good, but it's the last one. Okay. But I just hope that the message, you know, again, it's not to bash women, it's not to bash deadbeat fathers, it's to try to help figure out a way that, you know, parents can co-parent. Like parents need to learn how to co-parent because at the end of the day, the only one that's affecting is the children. Straight up. All we doing is raising a bunch of kids that's feeling abandoned, not heard, and they end up in somebody's prison system, foster care, or just with mostly abandonment issues, especially our young girls and boys. It's no different. Everybody need a father just like everybody need a mother. We all play our parts in our roles. So I hope y'all take this, y'all like it, y'all subscribe. And that's the word from Dr. Stance.